it's Margie with the Asking Spot, and this is a very sentimental piece.
She values
I
me.
know. It doesn't look like we're treating it very well. It's kind of become a catch-all for all our junk and lots of plants. But when our house a few years back was struck by a tornado, well, a tree thrown on it and smashed up, we lost so much. But this table survived, and it was huge for me. It was one of the first things I wanted out of the house, rescued from it. And, well, aside from, pets and people.
Thank you for thinking of us.
It's where I measured our little girls when they were little, where they, where I remember them being bent over and this table coming up to about their hips and how little they were. And just seeing where, they colored on it on the side. I don't want to lose that, but I do need to do something to the top of it so that it won't completely deteriorate. Pretty sure this didn't come with it originally, but whether it did or didn't, it's got to go.
Too loud. Spoilers.
So I've just been using 2 sanders. Why and which one's better? Well, let's talk about it. Although, if this isn't what you're looking for, go to this time and you'll skip past this. All right, so the reason I start out with this one is because this one, the Pros, it is super light. It's very versatile. It's got this nice pointed edge so I can get into nooks and crannies better, although not perfect. I still usually have to come back and hand sand anything. If I have a smaller project that doesn't need quite a lot of sanding, I don't actually ever even get this one out. I just go ahead and stick with this one. However, its negatives, it's not as strong. So if I'm using an 80 grit sandpaper, in my head I'm thinking it's only 100 grit because it just doesn't do as much. It also takes a lot longer to cover the same surface area because it's not as strong. I also think that when you're dealing with an orbital sander, you're gonna go ahead and get that, orbital rotation that's a little bit better at getting things out of a piece. So why don't I just use this one? Well, because it's corded, it's not as easy to get out and use, it's heavier, it's got a higher vibration rate, so it's actually more tiresome on my hands. But that being said, I don't know if that's just the brand I'm using that's causing the higher vibration. I do know from lifting them up in hardware stores and trying different ones that regardless, the Orbital was always heavier than this one. So If I only had to use one though, I'd still have to go with this one because I do like that it collects sawdust in here. It's not perfect. I still have to wear a mask, but it's a lot less than just using one of these. Of course, that might add to its weight. The cord, it's annoying, but it is stronger, and it doesn't matter what the grit is, it gets the job done. I also like that it's got this very versatile setting. At first I thought, I'm never gonna use this, I'm always gonna use it on its high strength, what's the point? But then I wanted to sand some clay, and that's when that came in perfect. So, if I only had one sander I had to use, it would be this one. But do shop around, check it out for yourself, see what you think, because I have to admit, if you can get both, this is super handy. Not completely sure I have my plan completely figured out, but
That's not very comforting.
at least to start off with, I'm going to put shellac on over the entire piece, especially the back underside, hoping that gives it some more protection. On the legs, I'm going to put a spar urethane on that. It's because this piece sits on our lanai. While it doesn't get directly rained on, morning dew and moisture, the tiles, it's subject to some harsher situations. So that's why I want to have the spar urethane on the legs. As for the top, I haven't figured that out yet. Long before this piece was nearly crushed by a tornado that threw a tree on our house, it was our main coffee table. It was where our little kids would gather and wander around and color and do all that stuff. And this top part, I was forever cleaning it using, well, a lot of harsh chemicals, to be honest. But I wanted to make sure my kids were safe.
Chemicals?
Okay, so now it's definitely a lighter color tone than the bottom. It's the same type of wood, but it's just been through such harsh treatment. I actually don't hate the color difference. I was thinking maybe I should put a shellac on it so I can get it more into an orange tone, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave it. I am though, I've got wood conditioner, it's set and good to go. I am now going to put on some Danish oil. My hope is that'll give it a little bit more of a pigment fill, but not a total stain.
Spoilers.
Then Danish oil goes on super easy. You just wipe it on, 15 minutes later you can come back in, put another coat, then it dries relatively fast to the touch. It doesn't cure though for at least 72 hours. That's when I can put on a top coat. And in this case, because it is a tabletop, I want to go with one of the plastics. So I'm going to go with the a spar urethane, because it is still going to be outdoors. That's the plan. This is annoying. I put the wood conditioner on and this didn't show up, and I would have been fine if it was just this. But look at this. That didn't show up with the wood conditioner. Gonna sand it down and try some oxalic acid. Well, this was a horrendous disappointment. To see that wasn't the problem. The problem is that I did all the sanding and then I put on the wood conditioner, and when the wood conditioner was on, it looked like everything was fine. If it had shown up then, I would have been like, oh, okay, I'll fix that. But regardless, now I've got to sand off the Danish oil, and I am going to use oxalic acid. Now, you can get it in a little powdered form, so you'll get, a lot more, and it will last you a lot longer probably than what I did, but I got this. Its active ingredient is oxalic acid. It is already just liquefied for me, so I don't have to do it. And I got it for $6, so
Cheap.
hopefully I won't need it on too many pieces, and this is perfect. We'll see. Per the container's instructions, I'm applying this by brushing it on and then using an actual soft bristle brush to scrub it deeper into areas where the stain is darker. But you do, of course, apply it throughout the entire piece. Now, there's something I learned from Angie from Transcend Furniture Gallery. Oh, she's like totally fierce. But unfortunately, I learned it after I had done this. What I could have done was also add more of the oxalic acid, just brushed on more while I was doing this. So long as the piece of furniture was absorbing it, I was supposed to be adding more of it. Instead, I just brushed it on and ended up doing another application of it. but I think I could have saved myself more time if I had done it the way Angie explained it. 2 applications later of the oxalic acid, and I have light wood with stain. So I think I'm just going to leave it as a part of the storytelling of this table and everything it's been through. And so I'm just going to power rinse it off, get all the stuff off I can, and then let it dry, and then use a spar urethane to top coat it. Taking a look back at where we started, yeah, so you can see how poorly I've treated this much beloved table. So I can ask you if you could please click subscribe, give a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. If you found this at all entertaining or informative, I'd really appreciate it. And now we go to the final results. It's not vastly different. It's more or less just conserved. It's, sort of restored, but more conserved than anything. And hopefully it'll serve future generations. Thank you so much for watching the Asking Spot. I got bloopers next. Oh, and another embroidery. So shout out to my 40 and then some crew. Let's take a look back at where we started, because we can't remember. Also, I can take this moment to ask you to please subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up. It really helps out, and I'd love to hear your comments, provided, they're nice. If you've got something you want to teach me, great. I think I digress.